All right, let's talk about episode 7 of Vinland Saga. Of course, spoiler alert. Um, so the leader of the Vikings um, is called Askeladd. Finally got that name because I'm slow on all this stuff. Sorry. Um, I guess the Danish have slowed down their attacks. Of course, the Danish are attacking the English, wanting to take them over. It's coming up on winter, so the Danish have decided to slow their attacks. The king was like, "Hey, let's slow down our attacks, and we'll wait until spring or summer or something like that to attack." So he's not hiring the Vikings to attack anymore. So the Vikings were like, "Hey, let's." So Askeladd's like, they're asking him, "What are we gonna do? Winter's coming. We don't have anything. We've already attacked all the good villages, the villages with the good stuff." So he's like, "Well, let's just migrate like birds and find some more villages." So they end up in France, it seems, and they find this group that is attacking another group in France. Um, they do this frontal attack on this fortress. The other group, the French group, attacks this other French group's fortress and fails. So Askeladd sends Thorfinn as an envoy to offer their services. Of course, hire guns for hire, basically. And you know, so Thorfinn talks him into saying, "Hey, we'll help you out." And at first they're like, "Well, we can't beat these guys." And Thorfinn is like, "Well, you have to attack from the water." And they're like, "Well, you can't. There's waterfalls. There's treacherous water. You can't get through there." So he's like, "Look, we'll do it for you. Give us half the money, and we'll attack with you. And we'll come from the water. You go from the front. We'll meet in the middle. Take the fortress." So they end up doing it. They end up attacking. Um, Thorfinn is upset with before he goes. Thorfinn is upset with Ascalon. He's like, "Look, we've been killing all these people. I want to challenge you to avenge my father's death." And he's like, "Look, you're gonna have to do more than you've done. You have to like bring me the head of a general or something to be able to do that." So um, fast forward, they attacked his fortress. So because the waters are treacherous, they actually carry their boats over the land to the water is in the back of the fortress instead of trying to go through the waterfalls, which shocks the other French guys that are with them, of course, fighting with them, of course. So as they're getting ready to attack, Thorfinn is still actually with the French group that hired them. Um, so he asked them, "Hey, who's the general?" So they point out the general. Thorfinn goes and he unleashes this attack that looks very similar to his father's attack in episode 4, where you get to see how ridiculously powerful Thor's is. Thorfinn is just as bad as his father, and he rips through maybe 15 soldiers like nothing, and slices the general's head off like it's nothing, and it's gruesomely comical because he's fighting these guys and he slices the general's head off, and the general's head falls in the water over the edge of the fortress into the water. He's like, "Oh crap!" So he jumps, he stops fighting those people, jumps into the water to go, after the general's head, and you don't see Thorfinn after that. Um, so the guys, Askeland's men, the Vikings, they come through the back. They have no defenses in the back because they didn't defend it because the waters are so treacherous. They didn't figure anybody could get there, but because they carried the boats over the land to that water, they were able to attack it really easily. So they met in the middle and took out this fortress. The next thing, and they're supposed to split the money. So the next thing you see is the head of this French group is happy, and he's like, "Well, look, we might have to do something about these Vikings because they might come back after us." So while he's discussing this with his second in command, ostensibly, um, he he sees Ascalon and his men in their 3 boats, and they've taken all the money. They've taken all the goods, not half. They took them all. So Ascalon's basically like, "Look, y'all keep the forces, we keep the money. That's fair, right? That's half, you know." And the guy's mad and screaming. Ascalon's got this crown on his head. I mean, he's living it up, and he's like, "Oh, I can't hear you. What you say?" So he's enjoying himself. And then they get ready to sail away, and somebody's like, "Hey, where is Thorfinn? We haven't seen him." So Ascalon's like, "Well, I guess he's dead. So is more money for the rest of us." And of course, right at that moment, you see the head of the general get thrown into the boat. No, no, no. You see Thorfinn jump out of the water into the boat, and he throws the head of the general at the feet of Askeland. So then he challenges him officially. I, Thorfinn, son of Thor, however it works. And then Askeland officially accepts his challenge. And he's like, but how about we go ahead and get out of here because these people are serious. And at that point, the French troops are starting to fire arrows at the boat because they're upset. They're trying to come after them to get the goods that they took. So they start rowing away. Askeland, I mean not Askeland, Thorfinn is upset, but they got to get out of danger. So that's how it ends. And they actually sailed over those waterfalls. I guess they had to carry the boats to the place because you couldn't go up a waterfall, but they could sail back out, and they crash over the waterfalls. And I mean they're just getting it, and they sail away. And the last thing you see is Thorfinn's looking at Askeland upset because he really wants to get this guy. He really is, and all you keep hearing in the background is people saying it's all he thinks about, it's all he talks about, it's all he cares about. You know. So for over all these years, and I'm guessing maybe 10 years have gone by, and that's just a rough guess. He's still locked in on avenging Thor's death to Askeland. So very good episode. Very interesting episode. You get to see Thorfinn a little bit older. Um, Askeland's still really cold toward him, but he's got I wouldn't say feelings for him, or maybe a healthy respect for him, just like he had for Thor's. Askeland had a very healthy respect for Thor's, and it's the same thing. But at the end of the day, Askeland's like this is our life. We go, we kill, we rape, we plunder, we pillage, and this is how we survive. So we don't care. Um, so that's it for episode 7. So I'm curious how episode 8's gonna play out. Um, are we gonna hear? Are we gonna see the actual battle in episode 8 between Askeland and Thorfinn, or is something else gonna happen to break it up? So we'll see.